a psychologist for about 6 months. I'd say this is about 2001. Okay, I was getting these knots in my stomach because I was working such focused, long hours in the studio. I'm talking days in a row with maybe 2 to 4 hours of sleep, doing that every night for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, making a record, and maybe taking a day off, Sundays, and that's it. And the reason why this happens is when a record company signs an act to a large record deal and they're making an expensive record, they pay and block out the recording studio for a month at a time. So every day you're not in there is a waste of that studio's pay for that day. And of course you have to take breaks and you have to reflect. So we took our Sundays off, and not necessarily even the entire Sunday, but most of the Sunday. All right. So that's why that would happen. But I started getting knots in my stomach involuntarily because of all the work. It was like I couldn't stop working even when the work was done. My brain would just like keep going on it. She handed me this sheet of paper, and all it said on it was something to this effect: life will teach you a lesson over and over until you learn it. Life will teach you a lesson over and over until you learn it. So basically, unless we change our attitude and our behavior, which are the only things we can truly control, certainly can't control how other people's actions are or what their thoughts are. As much as we all try, we can't. The next time you're in a situation that is potentially negative, you will have decided ahead of time an alternative route or a different action than the ones you've been taking that aren't working for you. And that takes some courage. But I can tell you, everyone has that courage in them. It's just a matter of getting fed up with your life situation or some portion of your life situation, and you want to make it better. You're done. You can't accept it anymore. Yeah. Now, here's the extra deep part that I was thinking about. When you improve and you arrive at this new, better place, you have to say goodbye to the old you. You have to let the old you go, because you've been with the old you for so long. You told yourself the same self-induced lies and excuses to why things aren't better, why it's not your fault, or it's beyond your ability to do something about it. And you've relied on that to get through long periods of challenge. And then when you realize that you were making those excuses and you just can't lie to yourself anymore. And the new you gets it and can't go back. Like, I could never go back to eating unhealthy again after losing all this weight. It's not that it was so much work. It was that I can't believe I let myself go so bad. But that's also what happens when you're sucking down, pizza delivery 3 times a day and Chinese 3 times a day in the studio, working all day, sitting in front of a mixing console and not moving, and doing that every day for a month except Sundays. You're going to gain weight. You do that months and months in a row, you're going to gain weight. You do that years and years in a row, you're going to gain weight. I gained weight. Okay.
Right. In many other industries as well, when you go to a 9 to 5 and you sit at a computer every single day and you get anxiety and you get stressed. And I will say, a lot of the people who are in charge, a lot of the people who are in positions of, like you said, like, I have to be the boss, I have to know what to do. Like the founders, the co-founders, those ones have a much higher level of stress than the employees or the people who are coming to serve the boss. So it is a bigger challenge for people in your position, in your particular position as well.
Yeah, responsibility for the creation of this artist's record. But actually, you don't have to really know what you're doing. You just have to know that you know how to find out what you don't know. But the question is, how do you know what you don't know? Now, that sentence should probably be taken out and shot. But if you think about it, If you can find out what you need to know that you don't know you need to know, you will progress. So ask yourself, what is it about my pursuits that I think I have right that maybe I don't? In other words, you have to admit to yourself, you may not be perfect. You may not have it all figured out. And that's okay, as long as you're pressing forward. As long as you're pressing forward. Now, getting back to the multitasking I was talking about before, yes. Multitasking can give us a feeling of pressing forward, but it doesn't necessarily achieve optimal productive levels as being highly focused. Mm-hmm. So, and I often have to ask artists who are having a challenge in the studio this question: do you want to feel like you're making progress in your career, or do you want to make actual progress in your career, even though it might be a little painful temporarily? Mm-hmm. Now, anybody who answers that is going to say, well, obviously I want to take the temporary pain for the big picture success. And then I might say something that's very hard for them to hear, like, well, I took a listen to your record and I think it's great, but I know you're a better singer than what was captured on there, and I think you should do all the vocals over again. Now, that is a very hard pill to swallow for a singer to hear. Ooh. But I've been in that situation, and I don't want to lie to someone and tell them, oh, everything sounds great, and then watch their career go down the tubes. That's not helping anybody by lying to them. So, but she was mad because she knew I was right. She didn't talk to me for almost a week. And then I got a call and she said, okay, Joe, I'm going to re-sing these. All right. And what she didn't realize is because she had already sung the whole record, all the hard work was already done. It was, deciding how to sing things and where to place things and what kind of emotional tone to put behind it. That had already been worked out. So doing all the vocals again, not only was a breeze for her, but they came out so much better, even better than I thought the new better would be.
Yes.
Yes. A couple of weeks later, she came to me and said, Joe, for a week I hated you. And then I realized that you're not the one responsible for singing on this record. I am. And now I just want to thank you for being straight with me. So it isn't always about, oh, he's being happy no matter what. Mm-hmm. So much, and because that, I think anyone who tries to be happy 100% of the time, that is just not an achievable thing. But to know that you know how to be happy and to flex those muscles when you need to, that's a good thing, and people can definitely learn that just by practicing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just stop beating themselves up, like you said earlier. Just stop being so hard on yourself. Like you said, you were the coach, so you were able to say, I see more in you. I've seen more in you, and you can do better. You're doing great, but you can do better. And
I could hear it coming out of her, like when she sang for me, I could hear right away coming out of her mouth this velvety, beautiful tone that was not captured on the recording that she played for me, that she had done with some other producer who was not quite as seasoned. Well, it turns out that that producer was very seasoned in the musical areas because the music was really beautiful. I mean, beautiful. And she had also directed and produced the record herself along with this guy. But even though I tackled the whole range of the sonic world, in just about every song I produce, the vocals are supposed to be the primary focus of what the audience is listening to. It's kind of like the reason for the song, assuming it's a vocal song. So I think it's important to have the vocals right up front and center in the mix and make it real easy for people to digest the lyrics and the emotional content from the singer as well. And you sometimes get more amateur or semi-pro producers where they have this, I'll call it, I shouldn't say they, I was one of them, an emotional immaturity, an immature emotional attachment to your music and your producing over the importance of the vocal. So what happens is in the mix, and you hear this like in demo tapes all the time, the vocals never seem prominent. They never seem loud enough or clear enough. And it comes off like, well, I mean, it's an okay song, but something's missing. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not capturing me. So this is, I think this naturally is bringing us to a point in the conversation where we think we should talk about ego and ego management, because that producer was feeding his or her ego by pushing their beautiful music arrangement to the forefront of the mix and suppressing the vocal. It's kind of a subconscious thing. They're not thinking, oh, I want the world to know my music more than her vocal, so I'm gonna turn her vocal down and my music up. It's not a conscious thing, but it happens all the time. And any person in the music industry or not, any lay person can tell you, man, I've heard so many demos where the vocals are like an afterthought. And they should really be the primary thing.
And when you said that about the ego, it's not just the music industry, it's worldwide. The whole world is sick right now. All of our egos need some adjusting.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's human nature for a person's ego to want to protect you from pain, protect yourself from pain. When I say ego, I'm not talking about the kind of ego where the word is used, where someone's like, oh, I'm so great, and I'm great at this, and I'm wonderful at that, and I know it, and I show off, that's whatever, fine. It just depends on your personality. But the part of your ego that protects you from pain is the part that you have to watch out for, because that's the part of you that's going to get in the way of your success. Success in anything, relationships, self-talks, professional, all areas of your life, all right? Ego is the number one reason why people are not successful in music. I can tell you that for sure, and probably in a whole lot of other fields too, because when your ego is out of the way, you will accept for consideration constructive criticism. In fact, if you can really manage to move your ego out of the way, you can accept the best advice, which is destructive criticism. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you see, your enemies will point out your weaknesses to you much better than your friends. Because your enemies don't care about your feelings. All right, they're going to tell you, you're this, and this. And chances are, they're probably right, even though chances are we as people, our egos jump in and go and defend ourselves. No, I'm not actually this, I'm this. No, you got me wrong, Maybe they got you wrong, maybe they have a point. So you can view your enemies, whatever you want to call an enemy, as your best advisors. You can almost call them your best friends, except for the fact that, you can't stand each other. But I can tell you, I've had many friendships where my first assessment of the person and how they might or might not fit with me and my personality was way off. And then once I got to know them, became like best friends. Some of my best friends were people that I never thought would be my best friends at first until I got to know them. And it occurs to me, if you get to know just about anybody, you could find a lot in common. I mean, we're all alive. We're all going to die. We're all going through this experience of life together. And that means that you have something in common with the other 8 billion people on the planet right now. And that's comforting. Now, not everyone knows that, but the better you know it, the happier you'll be. and the more forgiving you'll be of yourself when you make mistakes, of others when they mistakes. You know, forgiveness, such a powerful concept. And I know you know this, but I had to learn this, and that was that forgiveness is for the forgiver. When you forgive somebody for something, you basically are saying, you know what, I'm not going to give in to the negative. I'm not going to give in to hate or evil. All right. I'm going to accept the humanity of this person and then move forward, better educated as to how to operate with them. So let's say you have like a brother who you love, but he keeps, or a sister, either who keeps raiding your closet and stealing your favorite clothes, even though you've told them not to, over and over and over. Right? It's like the closer you are to someone, the more you can abuse them and get away with it, right? But like a stranger walking down the hall would never like come into your apartment and borrow your clothes, you know?
Okay, wait, I want to go into that, because that was an issue that I had to overcome, is that the closer they are to me, the worse I treat them. And it's like, oh, you're a stranger, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to believe that you're a good person, but I know you so well, like I'm going to treat you like shit. What is that? What is your opinion on why did we do that?
I don't think it's, I know you so well that I'm going to treat you badly. It's, I know that I can get away with it because I know you love me no matter what. I know if I go into my brother's closet and take that shirt that he said, do not borrow this shirt, I know I can get away with it because he loves me no matter what. He also has a saying, and I don't subscribe to this necessarily, but it's kind of funny. It's easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Now, like I said, I don't necessarily subscribe to that.
Yeah, it's gotten me in trouble a few times.
If you want to know why. Wait, could you say that again? The internet got a little glitchy there.
That saying has gotten me into trouble a few times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sure.
The forgiveness never came.
For you or from you?
For me.
Well,
I forgive.
We've all been through both sides of that coin, of course, and it's nice to be forgiven, but it's also nice to forgive.
Yeah.
I can remember I was in a pretty hairy business situation several years ago, and everybody was real tight, but because the business situation was starting to unravel, the friendships were starting to unravel. And I was talking to a mutual friend who was outside of the business but still knows us all, and I was like, you know, what do you think? How should we approach this? How do we resolve these disagreements that are unraveling our business? And he goes, he's a drummer. Drummers are great.
Just approach it with love, man. Just approach it with love.
And I was like, you know what? You're actually right. Because you start getting angry at people for one thing, and that triggers your system to look for danger, just like, you know, the fight or flight system. And that's the human body's way. The fight or flight system is the human body's way of alerting you to potential hazards. Now, back in the caveman days, you needed to have that sense because that potential hazard, that rustling of the leaves over the side, might be a bear waiting to jump out and eat you for dinner. You know, now we don't have the bear hiding in the bushes, but we have a boss yelling at us, or a significant other that's not happy, or who knows what situation. You know, there's thousands of them. But if you know you're in fight or flight, then you can again kind of step outside yourself and remind yourself, okay, I'm in a chemical state where I'm looking for negative things, where I'm looking for danger. So I'm probably going to see a lot more negative things in this situation and with this person that I'm having this situation with, this negative situation. And that is just going to put fuel on the fire. So by approaching it with love, by actually coming into the business situation and saying, gentlemen, I've gotten some great advice from a trusted individual, someone who's trusted by all of us. We should approach this with love. We got to stop tearing each other down, and we got to start working together and be stronger. And everybody made the decision to agree to do that. Even though it was hard and it didn't feel like, we didn't suddenly all hug and embrace. It didn't feel like that, but to decide to take the approach it with love attitude made all the difference. And that business partnership turned out to flourish quite well and remains to this day.
I'm sure many people are going through hard situations right now, so I hope that they can get some help from that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The coronavirus is real tough on the world, because if you're staying home and practicing social distancing, you know, we're social creatures. I mean, I miss getting 1,000 hugs a day, or not 1,000, but I miss hugs. I miss hanging out with my family and my friends. You know, the whole world is just a little bit lonelier now. And that means that the things that we're talking about today and the work that you're doing specifically is more relevant than ever. More relevant than ever. Now, a lot of people in the music realm ask me, well, you know, what can musicians do to progress their career forward during the pandemic? Mm-hmm. And the answer is a lot, because that's a good time for self-reflection, or to reflect on your music and to see if there's things that you could do to improve your situation, or improve the actual music, or improve your live performance, or learn a new skill, like how to network better with industry professionals. That's, you know, that's important. And there's things you could do with this alone time we have, because it's not going to last forever. And in a year or so, when things, you know, hopefully get back to normal or approach normal, we're going to wish we had done something special with this time. Now, in addition to losing the weight, I also wrote a book about it, about the process while losing weight. Now, don't be impressed, because it's only a 3-page book, okay? But it's called How to Lose Weight, and on page 1, on chapter 1, you know, it says, eat less calories. And then you go to the next page, it says chapter 2, and you turn it over, and it says, exercise more. ... And then you go to chapter 3, and it says, you fat jerk, or something like that. Fat ass. No, it's just a joke. I didn't really write this book. Would it be funny if I
caught on there a little bit.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if I did, and then I went on Oprah, you know, or some show, you know, book tour over a 3-page book? I think that would be
the most famous 3-page book ever.
No, I would never even comment on the length of the book if I did that. I would just treat it like it was a regular book.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I do. I really like this time for reflection, and I think that a lot of people are figuring out what they truly want in this time. And when you said the lonely thing, so I came out with this How to Become Your Own Best Friend course.
Oh, that's good.
Because in this time where you are obligated to be alone, and for someone, okay, so I've got this autoimmune disease, and I was wearing a mask before COVID started because I had to wear a mask to protect myself. And so becoming your own best friend allows you, like a musician or an artist, right? If you're your own best friend, you're sitting in your own studio, which you've probably made,
right here.
Exactly, with your computer, your sound engineering, everything. And then if you're an artist painting or whatever, you've got your garage full of paints and canvases, right? We've all got our studio, right? So this is a time where we can go into our own place. And when you're your own best friend, like, not everyone identifies as a creative person, though. Okay. So not like I normally wouldn't identify as a creative person. This is like a recent thing that has
Mhm.
come upon me. I normally identify as an intellectual. So like the creative part has come out through COVID of like, oh, well, I have these emotions inside of me, especially after a breakup that I want to release, and I've written poems and things like that, but it doesn't express the raw pain and the visceral feelings that you have inside of you. You know, everyone has a certain way to express that. Like
Mhm.
a musician probably can sing their heart out and, you know, whatever. So I think that this time to learn how to become your own best friend is when you find out who were you when you were a child before you had like, even though I grew up with siblings, I still had time alone to be my own best friend, to go and play and be independent and play in the mud in the yard on the swing set, whatever. Use my imagination. The swing set is now a spaceship and I'm going to Mars and like all of these things. So I think that it's really important for all of the adults and the kids and teens who are getting caught up in all of this to remember, instead of being your worst enemy, your own worst enemy who you don't forgive and you don't and you know you don't do all of these loving things for, become your own best friend, and that's how you will get through this together. You know, if you are alone in your apartment, in your house, in your room, whatever it is.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Definitely. Wow. Um, I wanted to take a second and just shill for some of the things I'm working on in case there's anybody interested in being in
Yes, please
any
do
of
that.
either in the music business or really any area of entertainment. Um, uh, if you want to get some really great music career tips on what to do and what not to do, just go to joesolo.com, JOE, S like Sam, OLO, that's me, and sign up for the email list, and you'll right away you'll get the first of what's called a music success video nugget series, which is titled How to Get Your Music in Film and TV. And then you'll also get the a writing I have on the 9 music career killing mistakes and how to avoid them. Because if I didn't include how to avoid them, that would be pretty mean. And
These are the mistakes you're gonna make.
And like one of them is being on iTunes or Spotify, and people will go, well, how's that a mistake? But sign up and you'll get the answer. Anyway, the second thing I wanted to promote really quickly was a more wider ranging, all entertainment industry encompassing company that I've co-founded with some other people in the music industry and in the film and TV industry. And we're pooling together a whole smorgasbord of Hollywood executives across music, film, TV, fashion, art, dancing, gaming, and entrepreneurialism in general within the entertainment industry. You can go to HollywoodCreativeAcademy.com and you can check out some of the courses there. They're all about 2 to 3 hours, and they're all top experts telling people how things really work in their industry. And you could do anything from watch videos to attend webinars to even get one-on-one private mentoring sessions with these top Hollywood executives. And that's unheard of. So that's what I've been working on. And of course, I'm always working on music and producing people or creating music for cinema. I'm working on a cinematic EDM library of music. So very, very modern and maybe even like near future modern sounding, but also cinematic, ethereal, and very wide and lush and intense. Could be intensely beautiful or intensely introspective, because when you're writing music for a film, you're writing music that goes across the whole emotional range, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's the music in a film that tells you how to feel on a particular scene.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know?
love it.
Let's say you have the Joker in a Batman movie and he's killing a bunch of people, and you've got like an orchestral score and it's really dark and horrific, you know.
Or like Jaws, right? It tells you to feel scared. But let's say you take the same scene of the Joker shooting a bunch of people, and you've got like
that kind of circus thing going on. You're gonna feel the joy that the Joker feels from shooting his gun at people. You know, it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
So music is very powerful. And as a music composer, I'm really a storyteller whose job is to serve the director's vision in telling the story the way she or he wants to tell it. And that is what composers do. And I do that too.
I love composing. Like, not, I don't compose, but I love the art of composing. I love that. In every movie, I have literally on my iPhone, I have soundtracks to movies.
Like, what are some of your favorites?
What are some of my favorites?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big Marvel fan.
Whenever you ask somebody what's on your playlist, it's a great way to get to know them, isn't it? Maybe not. I don't know.
It's very wide range.
Playlist, but maybe
just recently, it's been the Avengers Endgame original motion picture soundtrack, Thor Ragnarok original motion picture soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So those are the ones I have that are soundtracks, but I also really enjoy classical music and concertos. And when I listen to them, I see images, like I see stories. When I listen to the classical music, like I can just close my eyes. I can either see like people dancing or colors or actual scenes of people's lives playing, but the movie's never been written. You know what I mean? Like, so like the art
music somehow is like pouring like nutrients and fertilizer and water on your seeds of creativity, and they grow.
I guess. I mean, I think that if I was able to, like, so I just started painting, and then when I started painting to music, I was like, oh, this is a whole new experience, because normally, like, I don't know if it's called, like, what it's called, but when you hear music and you close your eyes and you see colors, you know, there's like maybe it's called like synesthesia, or I don't know what the actual name is, but that has happened my whole life. Especially
chromatomusic imagination. No, I'm just kidding. I made that up. I don't know.
That reminds me of Fantasia. Like
chromatomusic.
Yeah. But you know, Fantasia is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's just like composing this amazing story, and like the music goes, you know, right to it. I don't know. It's just, I feel like they wrote the music first and then did the images, but maybe they wrote it together.
Well, for any moving picture where music is like intertwined into the action on screen, or it's a musical like Grease or something like that, any musical, the music, most of it, if not all of it, has to be written first. Because it's weaved into the story, and because the actors are going to be singing or acting to it or doing something involved with the music. You know, if you know, with a movie like Mary Poppins, for example, or the movie The Sound of Music. These are all class ones. Or what's the movie with all the ABBA songs?
The Fiddler on the Roof? No,
that's another one. Well, anyway, it's got all the ABBA songs on it. Mamma Mia. All right. And since the actors are singing the songs, they obviously have to have the songs written ahead of time to sing.
Right.
So in that case, music is definitely written first. But in most cases, if it's not a musical or the music's not weaved so intrinsically into the actual action, the music is pretty much the last thing that's done. And a lot of times it's treated almost like an afterthought, where, you know, the production company takes 1.5 years to make a 2-hour movie, and then they give the composer 3 weeks to design all the music that's going to tell each person who sees this film how to
feel during every during many moments, most moments of a film. Now,
does that make sense? No.
No, that makes me
Does
so
that-
anxious.
Okay, you're feeling anxious and you're not even the composer.
Oh my God, like what? Why would they do that?
Now, because they made the film and they want to release it soon, and
I'm like
they have to
literally
do it-
sweating.
they have to do an
thinking of being that
orchestrated-
person.
they have to do an orchestrated marketing campaign 6 months ahead of time. But George Lucas said that the sound, meaning the music, dialogue, sound effects, sound design, is 50% of the film. That's why he decided to start a company to invent the THX sound system, which back in the day had taken regular stereo sound in the theaters and upgrade it to like the 5.1 and the 7.1 sound systems that we had. And for those of you who don't know, that just means 5 main speakers and 1 bass speaker or 1 subwoofer, or 7, or a lot of movie theaters have 10 and 12. We have 12.2 systems with 12 speakers around, and you get more of a surround effect, and you've got 2 subwoofers, so you feel that bass in your chest when the explosions go off.
Is that how many you have in your apartment?
Even bullets in movies are treated like, in real life, they sound like firecrackers. But in the movie, it's like, they add all this reverb and they turn up the bass in the bullet. So it's like, ging, ging, ging. And so that you feel every bullet. So when you see something like The Matrix or something like that has a lot of stylized shooting into it. And I'm not into guns, don't get me wrong. All right. And I'm not knocking anyone who is. It's just not my thing. But in the movies, obviously there's a lot of shooting, and you'd be amazed at how much time is spent treating the sound of the bullets and other things. In fact, what I did to learn how to compose and also to learn sound design for film is listen to movies without watching them. And by removing the visual, you're using a different part of your brain to examine and analyze what's going on. And if you're into music and you want to be a producer, I suggest listening to records in the same way, like proactive listening. Listen to what other producers have done, or whatever your field is. Look to your mentors or the examples of success that inspire you, and figure out what they're doing right. Because chances are they made a lot of mistakes along the way and figured it out. So you should definitely listen to like a seasoned professional who's giving you advice. You don't have to take the advice. You can pick and choose what you want and toss away the rest, because only you know what applies to yourself. But it's a good idea, definitely, to have a team of mentors that can help guide you. And that's a big part of what I do now in music, and also with the Hollywood Creative Academy, is where all these executives are passing something back to the next generation of entertainment professionals. And that's our way of trying to make the world a better, happier place. And if people can be more successful in the arts, music and film and TV, etc., and it makes them happier, then by bringing more musicians and entertainers to the forefront, we're actually making the general population happier. And at last count, the number of people who liked music was everyone. So what you do, if you're an artist or a songwriter or a fashion designer, or really anything, it doesn't have to be in the creative arts, in the creative industry, but what you do matters, because it will affect many other people. Many strangers that you'll never meet will be affected by whatever it is you do with your life. So do something meaningful and be happy by choice.
Thanks again for watching. I love you all. Subscribe, like, and share. Bye.